To say you gotta know somebody, or know somebody to give somewhere these days. To say you know that's alright, yeah, that's alright. Cause you know that's alright with me. Yeah, you know that's alright, yeah, that's alright. Cause you know that's
that mortgage. Is it true that they are violating the contract that they have with the bank? Absolutely. They are violating the contract. Okay? That doesn't mean it's illegal. Okay? It does not mean it's illegal. Right? It isn't illegal. Okay? In fact, if you read the due on sale clause, and this is what I have right here, I was actually going to put it up on the screen, but there's a lot of pressure on my buddy Jeremy here. There's a lot of pressure on him. Okay? All right. What it actually reads is the lender may, at its option, require immediate payment in full of all sums. That's the exact wording it says on almost every mortgage. May at its option. Now, first of all, if I am paying the bank, they ain't calling that loan. They ain't doing it, okay? They're not going to do it. They got a million people who aren't paying them. They're not going to stop taking payments from somebody who is paying them. And that's what they'd have to do to even get me into foreclosure. They'd have to actually stop accepting my payments. Banks don't do that, okay? They don't do it. They won't do it. As long as you pay it. And all the time I've been in this business, I have never heard of a bank calling a subject to loan that was being paid. Not being paid is a different story. As long as you're paying it, it's not going to happen. Okay?
You update the address for the sales code?
Yeah, you know, if I had more time, I'd really go into detail with it. But I got a lot I want to share with the group today.
Do you need to notify the bank when you...
What you do with the bank is basically you get documents signed that you are now going to be managing the property. You contact the bank with these affidavits that are signed by the seller, and it's just like a property manager. Now the bills are going to come to you, and you're going to pay the bills. And you're going to have access to be able to call the bank, and you're going to have access to the online account. So that's basically how it works. Guys, if I had more time, I'd spend it talking about it in great detail. You know, I have packages. If you want to learn more about this, you know, come over to my table. I'm going to be here all day. Just go to the subject 2 slides. Okay. So if I had more time, I would talk about it. Okay. Let's try to fit in some questions at the end because I want to keep rocking and rolling. Because I want to teach you guys these 3 techniques. Okay. So you got raising private money, and now you got taking over loans subject to. Okay. All right. What else do we got on the subject to? There's the due on sale clause. What else do we got? I'm cool. Let's just, yeah, that's what I want to show them. Okay, a lot of people say to me, well, subject to, I don't know, Phil, this sounds kind of fishy. I told you it's legal, right? I wouldn't be standing here talking to you about it if it wasn't. Right on the HUD, the HUD ones that are created by the federal government on line 203 and line 503. You check out any HUD that you've got your hands on. Line 203 says existing loans taken subject to, and line 503 says existing loans taken subject to. You read your own HUD. Would the federal government put it right on a HUD if it wasn't legal? Of course they would. You're allowed to do it, okay? Banks don't like it, but all right, so we got to move on, guys, because I got more I want to cover here, okay? Let's go to seller financing. Okay? We can stop here for a second. We'll talk about trust. Back to the trust for a second. I want to hit on this for a minute. All right, here's a critical thing I want to talk to you guys about. There's lots of different ways to hold real estate. LLCs, S Corps, C Corps, a million different ways, okay? You want to know how the professionals do it? You want to know how the best real estate investors in the country do it? They use trust. Some people call them land trust. Some people call them Illinois land trust. We call them trust. In most states, they're just called trust. This is how the rich do it. Nobody talks about this. Nobody teaches how to do this except me. Okay? How did I learn this? From some of the greatest real estate investors in this country who have taught me this. Okay? And if you go into any wealthy area in the United States and you look up who owns these properties, it doesn't say John and Mary Smith. It says Smith Family Trust, or the street name might be Redwood. It says Redwood Trust. Okay? And the beneficiaries of that trust are the actual owners. Now, what you probably don't know about trust, I'm going to tell you real quick because I don't have a lot of time. All right, when you set up an LLC, you got to create a fictitious name. You got to get the state to approve the fictitious name. You got to advertise the fictitious name in legal documents. You have to pay all these fees to the state. It takes months. You have to file a tax return every year for that LLC. If you don't, it no longer, it ceases to exist any longer, okay? Let me tell you what you do with a trust. You go on your computer, you type the name of the trust, you type the name of the beneficiaries, you reach over with your right hand, if you're right-handed, and you hit the print button on the computer, and out comes a document that's 2 pages, 3 pages long, and you sign your 3 pages, you got yourself an entity. How do you like that? You like that? Come on! You don't like that? Yeah. Okay? We got a package we're selling. We sell it for $3.95. We're selling it for $2.95 today. We'll teach you how to do this. It's easy. It's nothing to it. And the way we're going to teach you is, in the package that we give you, it gives you the documents so you can go home tonight and create your own trust. We did, Jeremy is my business partner. He's one of the most brilliant real estate investors in Philadelphia. If you get a chance to come over to our table and talk to Jeremy today, you got to come talk to this guy. I never had a partner in 25 years. I met this guy, and I realized I couldn't figure out what the hell he was doing. Every time I talked to him, he had some different kind of technique and strategy. He's brilliant. And after a while, I said, you know, it's too hard of work to try to figure out everything he knows. I'm just going to become his partner. Right? And we've had a tremendous amount of success today. If you got time today, come over and talk to Jeremy. He's a great guy to talk to. He's not speaking today, but he just can't get this slide presentation to work. I don't know why. Okay, I'm just picking on him. I'm just picking on him. Right? One of the other things that's great about trust is you don't have to file a tax return for it. Here's why. It's a pass-through entity. Okay, so suppose I buy a property on Redwood Street. The name of that entity is Redwood Trust. But Redwood Trust really doesn't exist, okay? There's no bank account for Redwood Trust. There isn't, you know, a tax ID number for Redwood Trust. What Redwood Trust is, okay, thanks, Sam, is an entity that I created. If you look up the public records, the owner of the house is Redwood Trust. But you can't find out who actually owns it. Now, if you've got any frivolous lawsuits or anyone coming to try to sue you, they can't figure out what you own. Now, if I bought everything in my name, you could call up any realtor in Philadelphia and say, look up what Phil Falcone owns, and in a minute, he would have a list of every single property, not only that I own, but every one I've ever owned. What I bought him for, what I sold him for, everything. He could calculate my approximate net worth in 10 minutes. Okay? When you use trust, you don't know what the hell I own. Every single thing I own is in the name of a different trust. Now, the beneficiaries of that trust might be me, or it might be a corporation that I own, or an LLC, or an S-Corp, or something like that, okay? So if you guys, I got to keep moving, because Nick just told me I only got 10 more minutes, so we're going to keep, I don't have time for questions, man. I got 10 minutes, all right? I want to hit you up with the last one, which is go to seller finance. Okay, so, I got to zoom through this, guys. All right, so here's where we stand. You got 2 techniques, subject to and private money. And here's the other technique, seller financing. All right, so what happens with seller financing, all right? Many times the people have equity in the house. Now, if the people have a lot of equity in their house, right, there's no mortgage to take over. They might have a mortgage. Maybe the house is worth $200 grand, but they only have a $50,000 mortgage. They're not giving me this house for $50,000, right? So they have equity in the house. What I will discuss with them is getting them to finance the house for me. I'll say, listen, you know, you've got a lot of equity in this house. Do you need the money? What are you going to do with the money? A lot of times you'll meet senior citizens who don't necessarily want a lump sum of money, because if you give them a lump sum of money, what are they going to do? They've got to put it somewhere. They've got to invest it somewhere where it pays them. They need income. What if I could provide them an income stream? So what if I said to them, you know, you have all this equity in there. What if I made payments to you? $500 a month, $800 a month, $1,000 a month, whatever you could work out. So here's quick how I do it. I discuss with the people what their house is worth and how much they owe on. It's one of the first questions I ask them. And I very quickly narrow down to the point of, you know, what could I rent this house for? So it's a very simple calculation. If anyone tells you this business is complicated, if you go to a presentation and the guy's presentation sounds super complicated, and he's using all these fancy words, and he's trying to make it sound confusing, I say, don't waste your time with that person. This business is easy as hell. This business is simple, man. It's like playing Monopoly, okay? Watch this. This is the calculation I'm doing in my head real quick. I just put it up here. I said, think to myself, what can I rent this house for? $12.95 a month, okay? Immediately I have to get $300 a month in cash flow, or I'm not even buying the house. $300 in cash flow means I'm breaking even, okay? So right away, I know I got to rent it for at least $9.95. The taxes are $250, so now I'm down to $745. The insurance is $60 a month, now I'm down to $685. So very quickly, I figured this in my head, that I cannot pay this seller any more than $685 a month. I could buy his house and pay him $684 a month and still make money, but I can't pay any more than $685, okay? So, let's just say that I would offer him, maybe the sale price of the house is $100,000. I'm going to offer this guy $500 a month for 200 months. Very simple calculation. I'm going to go, okay, look, dude, I owe you $100,000. I'm going to give you $500 a month for 200 months. Okay? 200 months is, what the heck is 200 months? How many years is that? So 16 years? 16 years, okay. So, 16 years